Happy Sunday, everybody. This is Zach Saddett again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and this is one of the biggest honors of my career to do this podcast and have with me on the phone Gregg Oppenheimer. He is the son of the creator of I Love Lucy, Jess Oppenheimer. Gregg, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me. It is such an honor.
Thank you for having me.
Well, your book has been, or I should say your father's book. It is your father's memoir that you finished after he passed away based on material that you had gathered. And this book is one of the most treasured pieces of my entire library. In February of 2000, they did a feature story on me in my hometown newspaper about my Lucille Ball collection, a collection of I Love Lucy memorabilia, fan of the show, fan of Lucy. And I told them in that article that I was anticipating this book. And just before my birthday, which was 23 years ago this month, I received an autographed copy of Laughs, Luck, and Lucy. And it says, "To Zach Cooley, thanks for loving Lucy." And it has your signature, January 26, 2000. And I was so protective of the book, as though it would ever leave my home, which it did not. I wrote my name and phone number inside the cover in case it got lost and someone would phone and return it to me. So it's a very favorite book of mine. I've read it many, many times over, and you've done this wonderful thing in adapting it to a play, and not just a play, into a radio play called Lucy and Desi, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Sitcom. It's performed by LA Theater Works, which is a Los Angeles company that has the biggest stars in the world to come in and do radio-type plays. And they tour the country with various productions. I was lucky enough that in one of only 20 stops in the country, Boone, North Carolina was a choice because Appalachian State University is a place I've been before for live shows. And I went with my wife, who she and I have loved Lucy our whole life. We spent almost our entire honeymoon watching the DVDs that you curated, the I Love Lucy episodes. And I went with my friend Darlene Mabry, whom she and I formed the Whitfield Loves Lucy Club many years ago here in town. And we all thought it was fantastic. So that's a long way of saying wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you so much for bringing it to North Carolina.
Well, thank you. I don't know what to say after
that. You tell what I like most about it is you tell a true story. Every one of those characters in that play are real people. The dialogue is taken from real conversations that happen between either your father and somebody else, or it is taken verbatim from actual words that they said. And there was one person I couldn't figure out who he was, and I was going to ask you about it. But in perusing your Facebook, I found that Eddie Feldman was a production accountant. I did not know who he was, but in just doing some last-minute preparation, I found that he was a Desilu.
He actually didn't work for Desilu. He worked for Milton Bio. He was the ad man for Philip Morris, which is the sponsor of I Love Lucy. And so he was the Milton Bio rep on the set. And so he and my dad became quite close friends. He went on from there I seem to recall that he went to great advertising after that, and then he became a producer, and he produced a show and created a show called Hogan's Heroes, which you might have heard of.
Oh yes, yes.
So Eddie was a great guy.
And I just love that everything was true to life. It was written with as much humor and heart as the show itself. You obviously have a lot of your father's instinct as a writer and as a humorist. How do you feel that you inherited your father's sense of humor or ability to tell a story in any way?
Well, certainly a sense of humor. I don't think my ability is quite up to his. But the reason I wrote the play, this play took me a long time, but
right.
It was because the real story is so funny, and nobody ever portrays it that way. I mean, every 20 years there's another movie about Lucy and Desi, and they're always very grim dramas. And there was a lot of laughs on that show. I mean, nobody could wait to get to the set. Everybody loved the work, and I wanted to, convey the joy that everybody had in making that show. I mean, I think it comes true. You can't make a show like Lucy that's so successful, and as soon as they say cut, everybody's at each other's throats. It's just not possible. As somebody wrote. Story of a while back. There are people who attack each other when the camera's not running on comedies, and people run from those shows. I mean, writers quit. I mean, you don't last if you get that kind of problem. And Lucy was the opposite. Everybody loved the work and loved each other and loved what they were doing and had a million laughs. In fact, I think Lucy would give out a silver dollar every week to, whoever came up with the best laugh on the set.
Wow, that's something I've never heard. So,
yeah.
Thank you for that. I know what you mean about the dramatic portrayals getting capturing everyone's attention and becoming fact, because that's what becomes accepted as truth. For instance, we know that Vivian Vance and William Frawley did not like each other personally, but you see in musical numbers how well paired they were, and as you said, you can tell that they're enjoying what they're doing. And if they did not enjoy what they're doing, how could it possibly still be the funniest show on television 72 years later? I mean, do you think that of course, I guess no one knew that, because even at that time they didn't think TV was going to last. But do you think that your father had any conception that people would be quoting his lines or laughing at his jokes 35 years after he passed away? I mean, that's phenomenal.
I don't, at the time they were making the show, absolutely not. No, they were just trying to get the show made every week and do the best they can, and they were thrilled that it was such a runaway success. My dad wrote a letter to somebody at the time, said it's one of those things where you do the same thing you've been doing for years in the business, and all of a sudden it goes absolutely crazy. Mm-hmm. And it was their version of something going viral. Right. They call it now, but he did the Baby Snook show, which was a successful radio show with Fanny Brice on radio, and then he did the My Favorite Husband, which was a hit, but not like Lucy. Lucy was one of CBS's biggest radio stars, but it wasn't a runaway smash. And so when what they did on TV, and all of a sudden, it was Lucy. It was just amazing, the reaction. And then when they invented the rerun, CBS did not want to rerun Lucy, but they had to because Lucy got pregnant. And and then it got bigger ratings than the original show. I mean, there's a reason for it got bigger ratings besides it being such a great show. Millions and millions of people had bought TV sets for the first time between the first season of I Love Lucy and the second season of I Love Lucy. So there were all these people that hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
So, but thank goodness she got pregnant, or else the whole TV business would have been very different.
And all of the things, not only did they invent the rerun, I think I Love Lucy invented the sitcom itself. I mean, the way the living room is set up, every sitcom has the swinging kitchen door, the living room set up, and of course the 3 camera.
And they have bleachers for the audience to sit on.
Live audience.
Which they walked around stage 2 at the General Service Studios in 1951 in the summer, and said, where are we going to put the audience? And because they were, at the time, they weren't even looking for a movie studio to shoot it at. They were looking for a theater. And Al Simon, this isn't in the play, but it's in the book. Al Simon made a deal with General Services when he saw the sound stage, and signed a lease for $1,000 a week for a year. And I joked that my dad and Desi said to him, "Al, you didn't have authority to sign a lease." And Al said, "Yeah, but they didn't know that." But then they got there and they said, "Well, where are we going to put the audience? The reason we're looking for a theater is because you got all the seats for the audience. We can't build a whole theater here." And one of I think that Herb Broar was the production manager, said, how about bleachers? Like people sit on bleachers for basketball games. And there was a company that came into my high school and built it in 2 days. And they did it, and that's the way everybody does it ever since. They're still building, school type bleachers. They're a little more padded now. Although people have to sit the reason they're padded is people have to sit now for 3 or 4 hours if they want to watch a sitcom being taped. I Love Lucy was over in 45 minutes because there was a rule: no retakes. Even if somebody made a mistake, no retakes. There was never, there may have been a couple exceptions, but practically no retakes on the whole thing.
Exactly. And teams of writers. And Lucy had the same 3 writers every week. They did 39 episodes in 39 weeks for that first season.
Yeah.
3 writers.
They have 15 or 20 writers, and they do, less than 20 episodes. 22 or less in 20 minutes or less, and get paid way more than I guess your father or Lucy would have ever imagined. That's one of my favorite lines in the play was when they're explaining why they can't, what they're asking, the CBS executives are asking Dad and Desi, what are you going to do with Desi? Lucy's got to take maternity leave. And they just told them that Lucy's got to be out from November to March. Mm-hmm. And he says, how are you possibly going to get 39 shows done? The most you can possibly get done is 22. Yep. You call that a season? And
I caught that in the play, because that is the number for the current season now. Is 22 and 22 minutes. But I caught that in the play, but I wonder how many people actually did, because it didn't get as big a laugh as I hoped it would.
It gets a bigger laugh in Los Angeles.
in North Carolina. But so glad they chose to come to North Carolina, if only for the 4 of us to see it. You've seen the photo of us that we had taken after the play with the heart in the backdrop and everything.
Oh yeah, it's on my Facebook page.
Yeah, will be very near and dear to my heart. Do you think, coming back to the play, that Gerard Marzilli, do you think that he did justice to your father? Obviously, that's the role that you probably are most concerned with.
Yeah, I mean, he did a terrific job. I mean, everybody did a great job. He wasn't doing an impression of my father at all.
Right.
But which doesn't matter because nobody knows what my father sounds like. My father sounded like me.
Right.
I thought the actors all did a terrific job of telling the story. And you can tell they had fun doing it too. I mean, I hope that came true. The actors who were going around the theater works.
Right.
Bill Mendieta and Alice Greer and Leanne and Ozzy Rodriguez and Tom Virtue, who does a great Bill Frawley.
Yep. I told you, my 8-year-old daughter, she's the harshest critic. She's going to be a reviewer like me, I think. And she said, I love what she said to me before the play, and I put it in the article. She said, whoever they have playing Ricky, he better have a good accent, and he better know how to flare his nostrils.
You reminded me of when CBS was going to release I Love Lucy on DVD in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been played in Japan, but only with subtitles, and they thought, what we need to do is to dub it into Japanese and get some really good, famous actor and actress to play Lucy and Desi. And maybe that'll make it a successful release. And I said, you got to make sure you do one thing. The Japanese actor who plays Desi, he needs to speak poor Japanese with an accent.
Right.
Preferably Cuban, but and they said no. they didn't want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as Bill Mendieta stepped out on the stage and spoke the first few lines, which was originally because I bought I Love Lucy, the Untold Story, the ebook, and in that original script that was supposed to be Walter Winchell was sort of the narrator, was it not?
Right.
And Desi steps out and gives his first few words, and my daughter turns to me and smiles and says, "He's good." So
he's very good.
I thought, well, he's going to be all right. And she really liked Tom Virtue's Bill Frawley. The scene between Desi and Bill Frawley, I thought was very accurate because Desi said, "Look, I'll drink you under the table anytime you want, but don't show up to work drunk."
Tom's the only one in the it's a radio play, and Tom's the only one in the radio play who gets a laugh before saying anything.
Right. Right. Because he has the whole mannerisms, the trimmer that Frawley had. He had it all.
He's got the wide tie tucked into his pants, and the belt really up high, and the way he's standing, everything. Yeah, it's very good.
And speaking of which, the dresses that Lucy wore were just gorgeous, and whoever did her the red hair was just absolutely spot on, in my opinion.
They did a very nice job with that. Unfortunately, that wig it came in until between the first and second performance. So some of the publicity photos you may notice it's a slightly different wig, but
right.
The one that they did 19 out of the 20 performances is terrific.
Absolutely. And everybody was very good. I thought the way that Vivian Vance was portrayed, she very much wanted to be a leading lady. Vivian was very beautiful and talented in her own right, and could have been a leading lady on her own. But she was portrayed as that. And I love the line when she says, "Who's going to remember a character named Ethel Mertz in a year?" and she is the one that goes on to win the very first supporting actress Emmy, because she was as great as she was. Yeah.
Vivian was amazing, and some of my favorite moments are Vivian's. In fact, in the one scene that came from I Love Lucy in the play, the one that gets the laugh is Ethel, not Lucy.
Right. So now let me go to all the big questions. Now that we've properly covered the play, it's a great play. I'm sorry that the tour is coming to an end tonight. Happy belated birthday, by the way. We saw the play on your birthday.
Thank you.
My great grandmother, you're a Pisces, I'm an Aries. My great grandmother, whom I had, she was 92 years old. We watched Lucy together. She met her great granddaughter before she died. Her birthday was March 21st. And she said, everybody who's anybody has a birthday in March. So I've always found that to be true. My wife is a Pisces too, born on March 1st. So anyway, happy belated to you.
Thank you.
And I know your age. I don't know if you'll allow me to say it, but
sure.
We know that you were born the year that I Love Lucy went on the air, 1951. So
6 days after the pilot was shot.
6 days after the pilot was shot.
Yeah. So I'd like to say that my dad was wasn't a huge success until I came along.
Exactly. It was you that did it. And also, we're watching an episode the other night where they were talking about a couple that split up. The girls are sitting around the bridge table, and they said, Joanne and Gregg split up. And my daughter turned to me and said, who's Joanne and Gregg? I said, Gregg is the man that Daddy's going to interview on Friday. And Joanne is his sister.
That's right.
Lucy was very fond of including people's names.
When they were trying to name the baby, too, they did the same thing. They came up with
right.
Or Robert or
Gregory and Joanne.
Gregory and Joanne.
Yep. But I missed I Love Lucy on stage, so I wish they would bring that back. Because did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it twice.
Was it together? Yeah. Yes. And were you impressed with that?
Very much. That's why I saw it twice.
Yeah. So it was fairly accurate then.
Well, they were doing two I Love Lucy episodes, and they followed the script. Yeah. And what they did was they pretended you're in the studio audience. And so they have a warm-up guy who comes out and talks to the audience first. And the thing that wasn't accurate, but that was on purpose, they performed commercials in between. So when there was a commercial break,
which they did not do.
Singers and jingle thing do like radio-style commercials, and they made them up.
Right.
And so that, but just to keep it entertaining and light. You don't want to be totally accurate and have everybody. Have someone have to talk to the audience while people are reloading cameras, because it was a stage show with no cameras.
I wish they would bring that back so I could see it. It was a little too expensive for me at the time, but I wished I'd done it now. So hope maybe they'll bring it back sometime.
You should tell people that my play is you can, there's a full cast recording.
Yep.
That you can buy. You can buy, and so it only costs a few dollars, and it's I think it's $4.99 or something. And it stars. It was from the world premiere production, which starred Sarah Drew, who was from Grey's Anatomy, and Oscar Nunez, who was Oscar the accountant on The Office, and Seamus Dever from the TV show Castle. Played my dad, and it's a really terrific thing. You can get it. The easiest place to find it is go to lucynet.com, LUCYNET.com, and just scroll down to the bottom, and there's a link you can click on it.
I'll get that for sure, but it was nothing like seeing it live, and the video projections and everything they did were just super.
Those were the real things, by the way. When they show like the living room.
Yeah.
At the Desi Ranch, that's an actual photo.
That was their actual living room in the play that you see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had to. Actually, in that photo, Lucy and Desi are in that photo. They're sitting on the sofa, and I had to actually go into Photoshop and remove them.
That is fantastic. That's fantastic. So that was the CBS building and everything that.
That's the actual marquee for Studio A. And
wow.
That's the actual Nicodell's restaurant. Everything you saw there, that's the actual proceeding march from the La Jolla Playhouse when they go see Vivian Vance. Everything is actual pictures. That
is unbelievable. Congratulations on keeping that so true to life. You must be very, very proud of it.
Oh, I'm just thrilled with the play and the reception that it's gotten.
Yeah.
I hope to be able to publish it so community theater groups and high schools and stuff can put it on.
Absolutely. Our group would love to do it. Our little group. We are so amateur, it's not even funny, but we would love to do it. You've been very kind with your time. For me, it was a great joy to watch your play. It's a great honor to talk with you, and I have truly enjoyed every minute. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it too.
And happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.